Welcome to Hookreations crochet tutorial. In this video I will demonstrate how to complete a front post double crochet. During the tutorial I will demonstrate the steps to each stitch and will replay the stitch in slow motion so you can practice along with the video. I am using a 4mm hook and 8-ply acrylic yarn. Before we get started with the demonstration, I would just like to explain the concept of a front post double crochet. Traditionally with crochet, when you're working your next stitch, you would normally work the stitch into the top of the next stitch. For example, in any of these stitches. However, with a front post double crochet, we will actually be working around the post of the stitch from the previous round. So the idea with these stitches is that by working around the post of a previous row stitch, it should bring your front post double crochet forward and the stitch looks like it sits on top of the work rather than in line with the rest of the work. As I demonstrate the stitch, that will start to make more sense because you'll see a difference in the stitch. So let's get started with the demonstration, and we're going to go very slow so you can follow along. So to complete a front post double crochet, the double crochet part of the stitch is exactly the same. It's just how we're going to work that particular stitch. So we're going to yarn over like we normally would. And instead of working into the stitch from the next stitch, we are going to insert our hook behind the double crochet from the previous round. So you can see we're going around the stitch. We're then going to bring our hook back through. So you can see essentially we've inserted our hook behind the double crochet from the previous round and brought it back to the front. We're going to yarn over and then bring that yarn back around the stitch. And then we complete the double crochet as per normal. We have 3 loops on our hook. We yarn over. We bring the yarn through the first 2 loops on the hook, yarn over again, and bring the yarn through the last 2 loops on the hook. So as you can see, that stitch is raised and it's sitting more forward than the rest of the double crochets in that row. So we're going to do that again. It is a little bit tricky, this stitch. So we yarn over, and I tend to sort of use my other hand to push the double crochet from the previous round forward. So we insert our hook behind the post of the double crochet from the previous round and then back through the other side. So we yarn over, and then we pull that yarn back around the stitch. So now we have 3 loops on our hook and we can finish the double crochet. So we yarn over, pull the yarn through the first 2 loops on our hook, yarn over again, and pull the yarn through the last 2 loops on our hook. I'm just going to see if I can show you. So you can see that those double crochet, this front post double crochet that we just completed, sit higher and they almost pop out of your work. So we'll do that again. It does take a bit of practice to become natural with this particular stitch, so don't feel too frustrated if it takes you a little while to grasp the concept. So yarn over, finding the side of that, the post of the double crochet from the previous round, putting that hook through, yarn over, and pulling that yarn back around the post of the double crochet from the previous round, yarn over, pulling your yarn through the first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again, and pulling that yarn through the last 2 loops on your hook. I'm just going to complete a couple of standard double crochet so you can see the difference in how the stitch looks in the work. So you can see how those 3 front post double crochet that we completed, how they're sitting forward. So I'm going to continue along completing a front post double crochet in the rest of the work, going slowly so you can follow along with how that's completed. So we're going to yarn over, inserting your hook behind the double crochet from the previous round, and then bringing that hook back to the front, yarning over, pulling that yarn back around that previous stitch. We're going to yarn over, pulling the yarn through the first 2 loops on the hook, yarn over again, and pulling through the final 2 loops on the hook. So yarn over, inserting that hook behind the post of the previous double crochet and bringing it back to the front, yarn over, and then pulling that yarn back around the post from the previous double crochet. Yarn over, pulling the yarn through the first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pulling that yarn through the last 2 loops on the hook. Go again, yarn over, inserting that hook behind the post of the double crochet from the previous round, bringing the hook back to the front, yarn over, and then bringing that yarn back around the post from the previous round. So we now have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pulling that yarn through the first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pulling that yarn through the last 2 loops on your hook. Complete that again, yarn over, inserting your hook behind the post of the double crochet from the previous round and bringing that hook back to the front, yarn over, bringing that yarn behind the post and around, yarn over, bringing that yarn through the first 2 loops on your hook like a standard double crochet, yarn over again, and bringing that yarn through the last 2 loops of the hook. So yarn over, inserting your hook behind the post from the double crochet of the previous round, bringing it back through to the front, yarn over, bringing that yarn around that post. So you've now got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, bringing the yarn through the first 2 loops on the hook, yarn over again, and bringing that yarn through the final 2 loops. Yarn over, inserting that hook behind the post of the double crochet from the previous round, then bringing it back to the front, yarn over, taking that yarn back around the post, yarn over, bringing the yarn through the first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, bringing that yarn through the final 2 loops on the hook. Complete the rest of the row. So yarn over, inserting that hook behind the post of the double crochet from the previous round and back through, yarn over, taking that yarn back around the post, yarn over, taking the yarn through the first 2 loops on the hook, yarn over again, and taking the yarn through the final 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, inserting your hook behind the post of the double crochet in the previous round and bringing it through, yarn over, bringing that yarn back around that post, yarn over again, and finishing your double crochet. So taking the yarn through the first 2 loops, yarn over, and then taking that yarn through the final 2 loops, yarn over, inserting your hook behind the post of the double crochet from the previous round and back through, yarn over, bringing that yarn back around that post, yarn over, bringing the yarn through the first 2 loops on the hook, yarn over again, and then bringing that yarn through the final 2 loops. And do 1 last stitch, yarn over, behind the post and the double crochet of the previous round and back through, yarn over, take that yarn back around the post, so you should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pulling that yarn through the first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again, and taking that yarn through the final 2 loops on your hook. So as you can see, these are standard double crochet. These are your front post double crochet, standard, front. So you can see how those front post double crochet actually pop out of the work slightly higher than the standard double crochet. Thank you for watching my tutorial. I have a number of crochet tutorials available. Subscribe to the Hookreations channel for free to keep up to date with our videos. If you have any questions or feedback, please contact me via email, Facebook or Instagram. Thanks for watching.